right, so as I said earlier, that trigonometry is the study of triangles, but we're looking at first the right angle triangles specifically. So with right angle triangles, the goal of this lesson is to find the measure of sides and angles in right angle triangle using trig ratios SOHCAHTOA. Okay, remember these words. So when I shows or trigonometric ratio, we're talking about SOHCAHTOA. Okay, we're going to see how we're going to use SOHCAHTOA to solve angles and sides. So first thing we're going to look at is we have a 90-degree angle. You can only use SOHCAHTOA with right angle triangles. If you use them with anything other than right angle triangles, it won't work. Okay? The sum of all angles equal to 180 degrees. So when I'm labeling my triangle, we always label the angles with capital letters. Okay? So when you see me, when I have a right angle triangle, let's say, or any kind of triangle, you see that I always label the angles with capitals. Okay? So capital letters is for angles, and then the lowercase letters belong to the sides. Okay? We'll see how we're going to name the sides later on, okay, when we get to the oblique triangles. Because with the right angle triangle, we're going to name them either hypotenuse, opposite, or adjacent. This is what we're going to name them. If two sides are known, then use the Pythagorean theorem, which is? And then we talked about the two other versions of it. What did we say that sine theta equal to? What's the formula for sine? So, by the way, this thing here, that's the letter theta. Okay, the theta represents, it's a Greek letter that we usually use for angles. Okay, a known angle, we name it. Instead of naming it A, B, or C, or X, or whatever, we usually call it the letter theta. Okay, you don't have to have a letter theta. It could be sine A. It could be sine C. As long as it's sine with an angle. Sine, cosine, and tan, they must have an angle with them. Okay? So, in this case, we're using the angle or the letter theta to represent it. In math, we use a lot of Greek letters. Okay? This is one of the most used one in trigonometry. So sine theta is, what's my formula? Opposite. That's right. He was outside on the phone. Big guy. Cos theta, my formula is? And then tan theta is? And remember, I'm getting this, or we're getting this from the acronym SOHCAHTOA. Now, when you take your calculator out, make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. How do you know if it's in degree mode or not? If it says the letter D or DEG or nothing, then it's in degree mode. If it says like RAD or something else, then it's not in degree mode and you need to change it. So make sure you check your calculator, and then if it doesn't say D or DEG or RA or nothing, then come and see me. I can help you change it. Okay? It will say like a small letter on the top usually. All right, so we talked about how to label the triangle, and we said it depends on the angle of interest, right, or the angle of focus. So if this is my angle of interest, we said that we name the one across from it as the opposite and the other leg as the adjacent. Hypotenuse is always the one that's across from the 90 degree. Are we okay with that, with the naming of the triangle? Okay, changing my angle of interest is going to change the opposite and the adjacent only. Hypotenuse stays the same. So how do you solve a triangle? How do you, when you're looking for a side? So label the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse side according to the angle of interest. Choose which trig ratio to use given the sides you have and want. Write your formula. Substitute the value into the formula. Solve with your calculator. And here's where I want you to pay attention. You're going to round side length to the nearest tenth of a centimeter or meter. So to 1 decimal place, unless the question asks you otherwise. Okay? So if the question doesn't tell you to how many decimal place they want it, sides are always to 1 decimal place. Are we okay with that? All right. Let's look at this question. So the question is asking you to find the measure of side P. So side P is always across from angle P. So if I have side P here, if I have angle P here, so that means my side P is the one across from angle P. So this is my side P. Okay? So find the measure of side P given angle P is 60 degrees. So let's name the triangle. It's a right angle triangle. So since it's a right angle triangle, I have to call it what? What do I call the sides? What are the 3 names? Opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. So let's start with the hypotenuse. Which side is the hypotenuse? MP, right? So this is your hypotenuse. Where's your opposite? P. So MN. Yeah, side P, which is MN. So this is my opposite. Why is this my opposite? Because it's the angle of interest is 60 degrees. Okay? And then the third side is called the adjacent. So, which side I'm looking for? The opposite. Which side do I know? Hypotenuse. So now, to solve, you're going to pick one of these to solve. All right? Since I'm looking for O and I know H, which one has O and H in it? Sine. Because this is the one that has O and H. Okay? So how did I pick this one? I looked at which one I'm looking for. Which one do I know? So OH, I have to look at which one has OH. Sine has OH. Okay? So I'm going to pick the formula. Sine of the angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. First, I write my formula as is. Then I plug in my given information. So what's my angle? 60. So sine of 60 is, do I know what my opposite is? So I just write it as OPP, or you can write it as whatever letter you want, P if you want. Do I know what my hypotenuse is? 2, 2, 5. Okay? How do I solve for the opposite? Multiply what by what? So I'm going to bring the 2 to 5 to the other side, right? So because there's a division here and I'm bringing it to the other side, it becomes a multiplication. So it becomes 2 to 5 times sine 60, and that equals to the opposite. Can you do that on the calculator for me? $194.8. What's after that 8? So since it's 8.5, right, I have to round this up to a 9. Okay? So because it's 8.5, anything, so I'm just going to give you a quick rounding lesson. Okay? If I want to have one decimal place, so I look at the number right after the decimal place. If the number right after the decimal place is 5 or higher, I have to round this number up. If it's anything less than 5, you keep it the same. Okay? Because this is 5, then I have to round this up to a 9. So that technically my answer is 194.9. Okay? Therefore, side P is, start getting used to writing therefore statement. Therefore, side P is 194.9. And don't forget, this is a side length. Since I'm already given a unit, I have to also include my unit. If the unit is not given to you, you don't have to include a unit because you don't know what it is. But if a unit is given to you, you have to include it. So first thing I did is I labeled my triangle. I made sure that I know what angle of interest do I have, and I labeled my triangle according to the angle of interest. Then I decided what formula to use, whatever is given to me or whatever I'm looking for, sides. Plugged my information in and solved for the unknown. Are we okay with this? So for the next example, I'm going to give you a second to look at it and then try it. Angle C is your right angle. Okay? So, and then find the measure of side B, given that angle A is 74. So these are not by any means, they're not to scale. Okay? This is 74 degrees. And they're asking you to solve for side B. Where's side B? AC. Okay? Because it's across from angle B. So they're asking you to solve for this, knowing all the other information. I'm going to give you a minute to try it, and then we'll take it up.